Veterans Day. Or the other one. Thank you, Veterans Day. Always get them mixed up, but I go to both the parades, so it doesn't matter.
What time is it?
The Warm Homes bonfire is at 5 o'clock, but anytime on your way home from work, go ahead and stop in. Last year was the first year that it was done. I'll probably put the Jeep with the blinking light out by the roadway because it's a little hard to find when it's dark this time of year. We had quite an attendance last year. And by the way, Michael, we had quite an attendance of students, which was nice. There was, well, I thought over 70 or 80 students that came to the fire, and make sure to pass the word around school again, because it was nice to have them milling and working with the seniors. The seniors are providing hot dogs and hot chocolate, and I think that Mike from the farm is cooking them again, so that was a big hit. Last year I heard they tasted just like school hot dogs, so it was a good thing. So we'll see everybody on Friday night, and there'll be a donation can there, but if you can just come and enjoy the fire, that's a good thing too.
Steve,
Nate?
Two things. One, and then I'm going to ask Carol to say something about her PTA, which I believe received recognition this past weekend. The board members are aware, but we're now up to 10 articulation agreements with colleges and universities for our Londonderry High School students, and we want to commend Mike Dolphin for his continuing efforts. I believe the one that we found out about today was Worcester State, so it's another college. So it provides our kids with an opportunity to gain scholarships because of their grade point average and the fact that they are Londonderry High School graduates. And what happens is evenings will be set up and tours of the colleges will be set up so parents and their students can come and hear about the college or university and then make a decision as to whether or not they want to apply, and depending on their grade point average, they may in fact be in line for a scholarship, all because of this articulation agreement that we have. And I want to commend Mike for his continuing efforts in this area. Carol?
Tom asked me what the lead story, our new reporter for the Union Leader, Tom asked me what the lead story for tonight was, and I guess this must be it.
Well, we're very excited. Good evening. Matthew Thornton School at the PTA convention that was held on, I guess the convention was held Friday and Saturday up at the center of New Hampshire. And part of this is all the paperwork that is submitted at the end of the year by the PTAs describing some of the activities that they've done. And the Matthew Thornton School received a unit award, an honorable mention. There were 3 schools that were up, and they were notified ahead of time that they would be considered for the unit award, and we did receive honorable mention for our PTA work. Also, our staff member, Vicki Stickney, received an honorable mention for her, it was a partnership award, and I believe it was in conjunction with the Celebrity Reader program. So we're very proud of our PTA. Last year, it was headed up by Tina Morrill and assisted by Deb Conti. And the PTA has just done a wonderful job, as do all the PTAs at all the schools, but we were very proud to be recognized at the PTA convention.
Congratulations, Carol.
It's great, Carol.
Oh, and one other thing, thank you, Paul, for reminding me. We're very pleased to announce, too, that Jason Parent, Assistant Principal at Londonderry High School, has been named as a finalist for New Hampshire Assistant Principal of the Year. So we're very proud of Jason and the fine work that he's done, and we want to commend him. Thank you, Paul.
Marty, do you know what time the Veterans Day Parade is?
No, I was gonna.
Oh, you were checking on that.
I hadn't heard.
Yeah, I know it is Saturday.
Might be 10 o'clock.
Maybe 10 o'clock, and if you're watching this as a tape, you probably missed it, but we enjoy seeing you there.
Used to be 11. I thought.
Okay. We can check the Union Leader tomorrow. We'll find out. He's like, how am I going to find out tomorrow if you guys don't know? The meetings coming up. November 28th at 7 o'clock, a regular meeting in this room, and I believe that will be the evening that the budget book is presented. Is that correct, Nate?
Yes, sir?
To both the school board and the budget committee and liaison to the town council. December 5th, December 7th are both budget workshops at 7 o'clock in this room. December 12th is a regular meeting at 7 o'clock in this room. December 14th is a budget workshop at 7, and December 19th is, it looks like an extra budget workshop if needed. It says open budget workshop, so I imagine we're holding that one in case we need to use it. That's it for meetings. We have a consent agenda.
So move the consent agenda. Second.
A first from Ron and second from Dan. All in favor? I'm going to mention this, yeah.
Okay. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. And what everyone's holding their breath for is I'd like to mention Marcia Buckley. Marcia is in this consent agenda. The board uses consent agendas for our general business and meeting minutes, approval, and resignations and that type of thing. But sometimes people stand out. And some details on Marcia, for those of you that haven't met her, that haven't had any children that went through the school. She works at the middle school in the front office and was hired in July of 1982. Back when it was a junior high school that opened that year. The personnel department continues to put in the amount of money they made at that time, but I won't embarrass them by letting everyone know. It was less than $5 an hour. And in 1989, she assumed the position as secretary to the principal, now administrative assistant, that she's held for 17 years, and she has 24 years of service to the Londonderry School District. In addition to the regular duties that she's done, she's also done some other positions at the junior high. She's served as co-advisor to the student council, a cheerleading coach, and participated in the faculty-student basketball games. Was that back when they were on donkeys, or no? That was before, after. Those were ones I remember when I was young. She's moving to Florida and has raised her family here over the years, and won't be departing until December, but has provided a resignation, and I think the board would like to wish her well and thank her very much for those years of service. I know that it'll be a difficult position to fill. The next item we have is committee reports and presentations. And Michael, it's your turn.
Hi. So this last Saturday, the 4th, we had the Kyle Robinson Walk for Epilepsy. We had it last year, and this year turned out pretty good. We had a high turnout of about 150 registered voters, and that doesn't include the people who came with them as family or the guests. So all in all, it was about 200 people who registered to walk. We had great support from the town council, as well as local businesses, which were amazingly generous in their donations. There was even a sign outside of Max Apples saying, Kyle Robinson, Walk for Epilepsy. The money hasn't all come in yet, but they're figuring it's about $9,000 that was raised for the Epilepsy Foundation. And it's still, there's a couple coming in, but that's going to be about what it is. Also, Kyle's family was there to support the walk, and they were very pleased with how it went and how great it was run this year. Any questions on that? Because that was a big one. Okay. So prior to that Thursday, we had the More Than Words. That's where the 7th graders come up, and they take classes, and there's 2 classes, I believe. And they just come, they see the teachers. I know there's the one I've sat in was the band one where Mr. Susi gives a presentation. And that went pretty well. Everybody seemed to find their way around. The guest speakers were all very good. and I think we might do that again next year. They have to discuss it, but it's probably gonna come back. Looking forward, there's the student council is gonna be planning its annual food drive. Last year that went really well. They have like interclass kind of rivalries where they start raising more cans than the other class, and they were taking it over by the truckloads to the food pantry last year. So we don't know the exact dates it's gonna be started from, but that's gonna be at least before Thanksgiving, for the Thanksgiving holiday. The new van that was purchased, it's being used. I know I was with the math team. We went up to Somersworth. We went to the town, and it worked out very well. It had the template still. It was very new, and so we'd like to thank you for that. The football team made it to the playoffs too. They're going to be 4th seed, and they're going to be playing Pinkerton, which is 1st seed. It's going to be a tough game. I think.
That's why the coach did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
A tough game for Pinkerton.
Yeah, and that game, I believe, is Saturday, the 11th. This Friday and Saturday, student council has about 18 members or so going to the Waterville Winter Conference, which is it's a large conference where most of the student councils from the state come together and they share ideas. They participate in leadership activities, and we're looking forward to that. It went great last year, and we have high attendance this year as well, and it looks like it's going to be good. Also, the Veterans Day Parade's coming up, which we're enthusiastic about, and other than that, everybody's pretty happy about the no school today and Friday. So, yep. And what was one more thing? Oh yeah, the fire. I think they're talking about that in school a little bit, so I'll make sure to get the word around that for that. And thank you.
Anyone want to make a motion to reduce the number of school days? I think seems to be a lot of interest in that.
We'd be for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Records show that the student council would be for that.
Oh.
At least one member. Mrs. Slozak.
He's a tough act to follow. Today, the professional staff did not have the day off. We had to work all day, Michael. And we did attend 3 morning presentations on special ed, which were very informative. The afternoon was spent with each school holding meetings and/or trainings on PBIS, the pilot reading, 6 traits of writing, and the pilot SMS report card. Thanks to Mr. Balke, he's not here tonight, but for lining up the presenters, and this day continues to get better every year. Judy Lynch's 2nd grade class at Matthew Thornton just completed a program from Scholastic Books called Classroom Care, and the children had a poster containing 100 letters which read, "Our class has read 100 really great books, so thanks to us, there are books to share. We are proof classrooms care." And after reading a book, each of the kids would color in one of the letters, and once they colored in the 100 letters, Scholastic donates 100 books to a needy classroom somewhere in the country. So Mrs. Lynch and her class were very excited about the project and the opportunity to help other children, and it also gave Mrs. Lynch the chance to reinforce how lucky the kids are to live here in Londonderry. 4th grade teachers are working on revamping the Londonderry Historical Tour to ensure consistency among the 3 schools. The committee will be meeting with town historians Reed Clark and Marilyn Ham in December to get their input along with some stories from years gone by, and the work should be completed in time for this spring's trips. The Community Service Organization Festival for Youth, co-advised by LHS staff members Kelly Jaguar and Karen McDonald, will be at the Londonderry Senior Center on Thursday from 2:30 to 4, playing cards and games with the senior citizens, and the kids are also going to be baking goodies to bring along to share with the seniors. Mrs. Pringle's 5th grade class from South School is investigating explorers of North America, and they're practicing good research techniques and focusing on the ethical use of materials. And that was discussed at our last meeting with one of the Action Research projects. So it's very timely that they're continuing to explore that. And students will perform skits to teach each other about the explorers when the project is complete. I have quite a bit of news from the Cyclone team at the middle school. They're beginning a new interdisciplinary unit on Greece, and they're going to start a 1-week drop period schedule on Monday. Each student has chosen an activity group to work with. They're going to be painting the solar system in the 7th grade hallway. They're going to be decorating the pod. They have a constellation group, a Greek artifact group, and a Greek theater group. And they'll be having a Greek festival, even food tasting with the help of a few parent volunteers on Tuesday, November 21st. And Housemaster Bess Arnold and Counselor Jack Janakis, both of Greek descent, will be doing a fun presentation with the students that morning involving the Greek language and holiday customs. And LMS teacher Bill McCarthy reports that the Cyclone team raised over $700 in their recent Penny Wars competition, and Peggy Fox's ASD homeroom won and has decided to donate the winnings to a diabetes foundation. And one more thing, LMS is sponsoring a huge school-wide community canned food drive, and Mr. Gino Tiella, who was a Cyclone team science teacher, has made a huge team wager, and if the students on the Cyclone team can collect over 1,500 cans of food, he's going to have his head shaved in front of the kids. And I guess the team assistant, Mrs. Campbell, will be the one to shave his head if it happens. This is not the first time he's made the wager. 2 years ago, he lost big time, and he was shaved at that point. So we're hoping the kids can meet their goal and enjoy that spectacle. That's it.
Thank you. George?
Thank you. I certainly don't have anything as exciting as shaving somebody's head.
And that's a good thing.
The Technology Committee met, it seems like an eternity ago, but I think it was only a week or so ago, maybe 10 days ago. Took a look at expanding some programs into the area of math. Talked a little bit with Andy Susi about establishing a computer lab for music. Started some conversations about getting some folks together to take a look at Macs and PCs and whether the time has come for us to start looking more towards the PC line as opposed to Macs. And I'll end with that and leave it, any additional things that I missed for Mr. Campo, because I think I was in and out of that meeting a couple of times due to other commitments that I had. So, and that's it. It's been a slow couple of weeks. Oh, did we mention that the celebrity readers are on November 16th at Matthew Thornton? So I'm looking forward to that. In fact, I think I got a call today about that. Just too much going on. So I'm looking forward to that.
Let's see, that we had a curriculum committee meeting 2 or 3 weeks ago, as I recall. Tremendous turnout. Mark, something like 30 people there. Very much engaged in the agenda of the night. Andy Susi talked about a plan for getting some new music textbooks, something we haven't done in something like 20 years. Kim was there, Lindley Susi, to talk about some high school anthology books. Mark discussed a proposal, a summer enrichment proposal that he'll be talking about with us tonight, and some curriculum mapping. So we covered a lot of things, and something I enjoyed too was seeing our new curriculum, 2 of our new curriculum coordinators in action, doing a very nice job, Kim and Ann Kalachi. Great choices for those roles. Budget Committee also met this week, or was it just a couple days? A few days ago, Dan? They touched on there's some of the zero-based budgeting that they're doing, and announced the new updated taxpayer white paper where residents can crank in what they're paying and see what their money is going to on an allocation basis for both the town and the school side. And one thing I was curious, maybe Ron's going to touch on it, is there's going to be an upcoming presentation on the IT committee.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one thing I forgot to mention. So keeping us honest, Mr. Margolin, thank you. Yeah, what I believe is the actual last meeting of the IT committee happened last Thursday evening. We just kind of got together to put some, cross the Ts and dot the Is. I'm in the process of putting together that final recommendation and that report. There's a couple different options that we looked at. And before I make any of that information public, I'll get it back out to the committee just so that we can get their final okay. A letter along with that recommendation will go to the chair of the budget committee, the chair of the school board, the chair of the town council, the chair of the library trustees. I hope to have that done out to them by the middle of next week. And then I think at our next session, we'll be able to present that to you formally with whatever recommendations may come from that.
So let me ask, are you going to be making separate presentations to the board and Councilman?
Yeah, since there doesn't seem to be a joint meeting on the horizon, it seems that what we'll end up doing is going to each of the boards. Ideally, I'd prefer it to be at a joint meeting, but
Not quite a good omen there, is it, for a joint?
no, I mean, that's, Mr. Bovee.
The only reason we're not having a joint meeting, I think, was because we're waiting for after the election. So I think it's up to both chairs to decide when to have it. That's my understanding.
Thanks.
We hosted the last joint meeting, I believe it was either in July or August, could have been June. At that time, Brian indicated that he would be hosting the next one, so the board's available at any time to do that. We can work that out.
So, I mean, if we can get that worked out, it would certainly behoove us to have that conversation with, Budget Committee, Town Council, and the school board, since we're trying to move forward.
Well, it hasn't slipped by us. We've been talking about it ourselves as to when to have it. It's just a matter, I believe, like I said, that Brian was waiting for
Okay.
the elections so that we would be able to talk to future reps about funding issues and so forth. Inviting them to that meeting. I'll bring that back to Brian.
Thanks.
Still got 36 minutes yet till the elections are over, so, for those of you that haven't voted. Ron?
Yeah, the only item I'm going to add to the tech committee report is that one of the things that we were doing there is going through the possible equipment that will be included in the plan, our lease plan for next year. Presented, number of computers, what the benefit of changing out some of the computers are. Some of the computers we have go back 8 and 9 years old. They're power leaps, and they have caused us quite a bit of problem and manpower to get them upgraded. These are computers that were extremely old, and we put in a new chip in them, and we got 4 more years out of them. It's coming to the time to retire these computers. So that's one of the things that we'll be seeing in our budget process as we get to that point. But that's what we discussed at the meeting, and I have to commend Mr. Herman on the excellent job he's done as chairing the committee, IT committee between the school district, the budget committee, the town council, and the library. It's been a very effective committee to get the work done. He's done a very nice job. Thank you, George.
Thanks, Ron.
I'm done.
Dan?
There's been several town council meetings, but they're deep into their budget. Not much to discuss relative to that as school board liaison. Paul spoke of the budget committee, the vocation committee met, and I'll defer that to the presentation that's going to be made come budget time. Mike Dolphin, Gail Esterly, Jim Elefante, Steve, myself, and Nate came to a consensus, and that's going to be part of the budget presentations as we go down that path. And LEAP PTA, staggering statistic to me, but there's over 180 PTA members in that group now. So, and that was, so it's always good to see young people get involved at such an early phase, and all of us did, and we're still involved, so it's always good. Maybe they can take our positions.
Do you have something, Ron?
Yeah, I guess if we're going to talk about vocational, I'd rather talk about it before the budget so we can have an in-depth conversation, not trying to fit it into part of a budgetary process. Where are we going so we can have,
Well, it's basically a personnel-related issue, so.
okay, it's not a program, there's no program or anything like that we're talking about. Okay.
Am I misspeaking, Nate?
No, sir.
And I think that we did intend on having a comprehensive presentation, but we wanted to make sure that we gave them enough time to put that together so that it was, we asked them specifically, since I was there with Dan on that, we asked them specifically, we just threw out some ideas, some companies in town, some vertical, what I would call vertical markets, items such as municipal planning, fire, police, sewer, hospitality, entertainment, education, veterinary technology, different different concepts we threw out, and we were going to wait for them to come back, because there's a lot of these fields and areas that they're already working in, but we don't hear about that at the board level, and at the community through the board. So we're trying to give them a little bit of time to put that together. I
I think it was sometime in early January.
believe it was January that we,
Yes.
is that right, Gal? January, I think it's January.
That's,
it's not-
that's
there's no-
relative to the programs, right?
There were not major program changes. It was to get us up to date and up to speed on that.
Thanks, Steve, that's it for me.
The, on the school funding front, 31 minutes from now, the legislative body of New Hampshire and the new governor will have an incredible task to do, and that is to solve the school funding situation by the last day of June, as directed by the Supreme Court. During the past month, the administrative appeal process expired, and the state did not take advantage of that. The day after that expired, we filed for, in simple terms, our money back. The court denied that, but they denied it without prejudice and said, why don't, in simple terms again, why don't we wait till June? And when we find out what the answer is, you can come back and ask us again for your money back. So we'll be back at the end of next June, or the first day of July. And I spent the afternoon at the New Hampshire School Boards Association. It was once again, an interesting meeting. The one resolution that I went to represent our board on was a resolution that was submitted by the New Hampshire School Board Association Board of Directors, and that was supporting legislation to raise the age of compulsory attendance in school for children who have not graduated from age 16 through 18. And there were more details with that. They made their presentation. I was the first one out of the box and indicated that we were successful, we felt, in killing Senate Bill 268, which was a similar law. And I gave our reasons. It isn't that we don't want students to stay in the school. We just believe that there should be programs there for them versus a law or regulation. It went through the room. There were probably 12 or more people that spoke on the issue in the room. It was quite lively. It went through two attempts to modify the language. The first attempt failed. That was to remove the age out of it. The second attempt, in the final vote, the board of, or the, those board members that were in attendance voted to support this, keeping children in school until they're 18. They did add the word, and the government will fulfill its constitutional obligation and pay for keeping them in school. So that's the request of the School Board Association. That's what I've got. And superintendent's report.
Nancy and Peter, food service report, please.
Food services here, do we get cookies?
Healthy,
Actually, there
George.
are cookies. Yes, hold on a second.
I was only kidding, Nate.
Well, see?
you asked.
Be careful what you ask for.
I tell you.
They have lime rhubarb puree.
And beef crumbles?
The assistant superintendent is now his designee since he left the room for cookies. We legally have to have the superintendent here or his designated person. No, you can start.
Oh, okay.
Unless he's cooking them.
No. They- So that you couldn't. Well, I will start off by saying that J. Paul Getty said years ago when you watch out for the pennies, the dollars take care of themselves. And that perfectly describes my life at school lunch. We've had a great couple of years here. When I first came here 2 years ago. When I first came here 2 years ago, we had almost a $58,000 deficit, and we are now boasting a over $75,000 surplus,
Well, since they're here.
which gives us some nice funds for turning back into equipment for the schools. Much needed. We were able this year to assist with their North School renovation project to the tune of about $18,000, in addition to about $20,000 in other improvements throughout the district. And,
We don't know what you said.
yeah, I know you don't.
No.
Cookies, they're such a distraction.
Nate, don't forget, we have a new intern in the control room, Tara McAllister.
Make sure I'll go there and.
It's her first night, and we'd like to welcome her to doing it. So if you wanted to start again, because I think we messed up.
I'm sorry.
And you're right, we should have waited until Nate got back with a tray of cookies. And
We got a great last 2 years.
But you can ask us for anything at this
You
point.
missed my quote and everything.
I got the, no,
Yeah, we got the quote.
I got the quote, and then watching the pennies, and, but from that point, Nate
Well,
started handing out
that's
the
all I
cookies.
have to say.
You can say it again.
We're doing pretty well. We've had a good couple of years, and I suspect that we'll have a couple more pretty good years before we see an increase in meal price. A couple of notable things are that we've begun to pick up the FICA and Medicare benefits for my staff out of our budget, which is a new thing. And we had a nice savings in food from the year before. Not sure if that'll stay with us, as I believe milk prices are predicted to go up, and we've already experienced a bread price that is almost doubled our prices of bread. We are serving healthier choices in the terms of bread by serving more whole grain products. That costs a little bit more, but again, we hope that it's just a few pennies added to each meal, so we should be able to withstand that. We are serving breakfast this year at the high school, which is going quite well. We are just about at 100 meals a day average, which is what I based my summary on, my figures. And the profits are looking very well as well. So I did speak with Andrew Corey briefly about possibility of starting one at the middle school. And in my budget for '08, we've got extra income, extra labor, and extra food costs added in so that we'll be able to cover those items in the budget for '08. Our meals participation is steadily rising. When I first came here, we were at about 42%, and we are now at 52% for September. And October, the year before I came here, was 44%, and we are now at 55% for this October. So it appears that what we're doing has been well received. Parents, I'm sure, are happier with the school lunches. I know the kids are. We've been having a lot of fun, serving a lot of different things, so it's doing pretty good.
Dan had a question?
Nancy, I think you've been doing a great job, and
Thank you.
you come in here and, you know, the presentation's pretty succinct from the paperwork, but the question I have is, and I guess we could say for the kids, they probably bring their lunch from home, but I think I asked it before, and I've been reading in the paper, gluten allergies and things of that nature is becoming, people are finding more and more of those that they didn't realize that existed in the population. I read a statistic the other day that 30 or 40% of the population has some gluten allergy, and that's become, I guess we used to think it was indigestion. But is there any move afoot to try to address some of that, particularly at the high school, as allergies? I know we do the best we can with peanuts and some of the more common things, milk, lactose intolerance, but this thing I've been reading about glutens, breads and wheat, but I think that would tax a budget to try to address that issue, would it not? Or are we doing something
It is
relative to that?
very expensive to provide these meals, but we do provide them for the students. When we're aware that, we generally have about 2 or 3, maybe 4 kids that eat on a regular basis. And we prepare foods for those students so that they can enjoy a school lunch meal.
How does it work at the high school? How do people alert you to the fact that they need that?
They have to identify themselves, first of all, with a doctor's order.
Okay.
So that's the first step. The second step is that, it's very difficult. We usually are prepared for something. I mean, we always have gluten-free rolls around or gluten-free breads. And generally speaking, the kids that are identified will let us know a day ahead what they want to eat the next day.
Okay.
So that we can,
So we haven't seen a staggering number yet?
No, I have a menu that I send out to maybe 5 or 6 families.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah.
And the other question I have, if I could continue, Steve, is probably maybe Nancy or Peter. How's our software working? I haven't heard any complaints, so
Yeah, what we
are
did
more
this year,
kids, we were trying to get more and more and more to utilize it. Are we seeing that increase
you're
participation?
talking the software, or you're talking parents? come on
Depositing
board?
money into the
Yes.
funds. The deposits are very high.
Yeah.
So we see that increasing. That's where we hoped it would be.
Yes,
Oh, great. Okay.
yes.
And then how's the software working?
Software's working fine, and just a brief update. What we did over the summer was, the software was located like 4 databases. The high school had a database, middle school had a database, the elementaries as a group had a database, and then there's one called Site Manager. Part of the thing what we did this year was, we talked about food service buying their own server when one of the main ones was had died. Over the summer, what we did was update, we were about 2 or 3 versions behind. We updated the 2 or 3 to get to the current version and consolidated all those databases into one, which makes it helpful for Nancy when doing reports. She can do district-wide reports. Also helps with even little things like myself, for example. If I give her a check, say for $100, I have a kid at high school and middle school, it's easier for her to make the payment, whereas before, they had to make 2 separate checks, because one was the high school, one was the middle school. So those kind of little things go away. And now it's all district-wide. If a student comes from the middle school, they're in one big database. So it's a little more convenience. I think it's a little more faster, a little more reliable, which we thought we would get.
So that investment should service our needs for quite some time?
Yep.
Okay. That was my real question.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
We are upgrading the cash registers. We upgraded
I
a
remember
couple of
that,
them
right.
this summer. They've all been uploaded to XP, but some of the machines, they're just so old now that they'll gradually be phased out and new ones will be purchased.
Thank you.
Paul and then Ron?
Nancy, this is your 3rd year, is that right?
It is.
Place, and it's just wonderful each year to see this food service program continue to progress and blossom and do great things, still new things each year under your leadership. The statistics are great. The only line item that has me puzzled is the middle school percentage served, and I didn't know if you had any ideas why there'd be, maybe it's early in the season, but why that's so different than,
For this year,
right?
the reason is that what happens with this combined software database is it will separate the accounts by school to a point, but all cash students go to the high school. which makes the high school number, if you look at that, slightly inflated by 3,000 meals in October, 5,000 meals in September. And that's because of the cash sales that default to the high
So
school.
they get the credit.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Either that or it's Elefante.
Good thing he's not here.
He wouldn't be cash.
Actually, he uses his account. He does have an account.
That's what I'm saying, he wouldn't be cash, you know.
So that's a good explanation. That's
Yes.
great. I want to mention, I was over at Matthew Thornton's school a couple weeks ago to visit Carol on a matter, and she took me down to the cafeteria to just take a look at what's going on down there, and showed me all the fresh fruit and the salads that they have available, the low-fat dressing, and what, it seemed like a small thing maybe, but what also impressed me was the attitude, the positive attitude that came across in the staff there behind the counter. They were looked very pleased and proud with what they were doing and what they were offering.
That day that you were there, I probably had just left. We were serving Gil's Pizza, which is a fresh pizza for the first time. I'd been over there training the girls. It was real exciting. The kids really liked it. And I have to say, the staff at Matthew Thornton are a real happy group of ladies. They're really terrific. And I think that comes down from the top. I think Carol does a great job of boosting everybody and making sure everybody's real happy at the school. And I think it comes from the top down. I really do. Carol does a great job there.
It's a great thing for both of you to take credit, I think. Thank you.
Ron? I have to commend you on the report. Excellent report. I appreciate it very much. When I'm looking at your capital improvement plan, can you just add one more item on here? As you say in the items, put the year that they're in there, that, not the year that you're gonna buy a new one. How old is the old one?
Oh, okay.
I think that would be just to show us where it is and show the public, that you're not going out and buying something that you replaced 3 or 4 years ago. It's more like 25 or 30 years ago.
True.
So I think that would be just very helpful in this arrangement. But second question, I understand how the morning lunch works well at the high school.
Morning lunch?
I'm sorry, the breakfast that you're serving at the high school. Getting up at 3:30 in the morning is tough.
I understand.
We're up to that. How would it work at the middle school when they don't have the free period at the beginning? I'm having a hard time conceptualizing that. I don't think the buses give them a whole bunch of time there.
Well, that's something that Andy and I will have to work on. I suspect that it may just only be a before-school program that only lasts for, 20, 25 minutes once the buses start running. Again, we've
Okay.
only discussed that, we're going to look into it. The nurses at the middle school have mentioned to me more than once that they are constantly seeing kids around 10 o'clock in the morning because they're hungry, they haven't had breakfast, and, lunch doesn't start till, 11 or whatever, and they're down at the nurse's office in, pain. But, so, we know that we'd like to start something, we're just not sure best ways to go about it just yet.
Do we do anything in the afternoons?
No.
Should we be considering something like that with all the children that we have at the middle school and the high school that participate in co-curricular activities? You look at that point in time, they've already been in school for 5 or 6 hours, and now they're going to go for another 2 or 3 hours.
Well, they all have the opportunity, of course, to purchase something and hang on to it till after school. I'm just not so sure, with buses and kids trying to get out and
Well, I'm not
vending
talking about the
machines
children, I'm not talking about the children that are leaving, but we have, I forget what the population is over at the high school of children that are at the building. It's big enough that we're running a afternoon bus several times a week.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, with all the children that are playing athletics, all the children that stay after for an extra period or two, if there was something that you might want to consider doing in the afternoon for those children. I think it's almost equal to the morning type of program.
The year before I came, they were doing that, and what I
At
had
the high
heard
school.
from my staff was it was very poorly, if you will, attended. We didn't do very much in sales. We were open for an hour, I think, after school, or half an hour after school, and, $20, $30, it just didn't warrant having a staff person available.
Yeah, but before you started this one, they tried this in the morning and it was poorly attended too.
Yeah, we can revisit it.
Right, that's my only point. We tried this before and it didn't work. Okay, that's all I'm asking, is if you see if something like that.
Just revisit and see if it
Makes
takes hold a
sense.
second time.
Thank you.
Anything else for Nancy? No, thank you very much. Thank you.
Next item up is enrollment report. If we take into account our pre-K through 12, plus our special education in our district, plus home study, plus adult ed, our grand total is 5,470 students. Looking at pre-K through 12, notice that we have a +5 at LEAP. Moose Hill has stayed the same. North School picked up 4 students since September. Matthew Thornton is -1. South School is -1. Middle School is a +3, and the high school is a -2. If we look at our adult ed for this year, for this month, the adult ed breakout is the following. We have 31 night students and 23 day students. To give you that breakout. That's towards the bottom of the page. Overall, from September to October, it's a net of a -1. We went from 5471 to 5470 after all the move-ins and move-outs. That's where we are.
Questions on enrollment? Thank you, Nate.
You're welcome. Peter?
One real question. When we add the grand total, should we not be including the 31 night students into that total? It looks like you take the 54, 52 plus the 18 out of the district students to come up with the 5470.
Yes, we can add those.
I don't know if you should be adding those in or not adding those in.
From a statewide perspective, they would look at as 2 separate numbers, because we consider the adult ed program a separate school.
Okay.
But I think from our perspective, I would look at the 31 night students too. So just for district-wide, how many youngsters or young adults and youngsters are we serving? But from the state perspective, we have to segregate that out.
And just rough numbers, we're at, when we pull out homeschool students, last year we were at approximately 5,500, and this year we're at 5,400.
Right.
Dan?
In the adult ed program, we don't limit that to seniors, correct?
That's correct.
So we could have freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors in that program.
Well, that's where we broke it out. So the 23 day students would be our kids.
Yeah.
That would be, and most likely they would be sophomores and up as opposed to freshmen, Dan. And then the night students could be young,
Yeah,
and
anybody,
from
yeah.
16 to
Right.
30 to 40.
Okay. Do we see, I don't know why I thought this, but do we see, when we originally created the adult ed program, the proportionate share was mostly seniors at that time, or third and fourth year students that needed a few more credits to reach
Right.
our 20
Right.
for the program? So are we seeing a larger percent of sophomores move into the adult ed program? I mean,
The adult ed program or taking advantage of night classes in the adult ed program?
Right, so these 23 day students, to Ron's I guess I'm not verbalizing my question correctly.
Right.
These 23 day students
Are already
are
accounted for?
already in those
Right,
numbers.
Yeah, I think
I'm
Ron
saying
was
it's the
talking about
31.
the 31.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking the entire
No.
54. Because these students take some of the required
That's correct.
curricula.
That's
And
correct.
then they'll take some night classes to supplement those credits they need.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
where the 31 night students do not take
That's
any day
correct.
classes.
That's correct.
Okay, I thought you were talking the full 54, Ron. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Next.
Peter?
Yes, as Mr. Zappala is here, also, as we discussed, the Maintenance Trust, on the board, one of the action items on the board is a 6-year projection of Maintenance Trust items. And these are items that we expect, if things go according to plan, obviously, that we would be looking for funding over the next 4 or 5 years. Obviously, the one that we'll focus in a couple weeks is the FY08 Maintenance Trust items listed at the bottom of the second page or the spreadsheets as we go down. It starts with the balance of June 30, then the appropriation of FY0607. We have listed the completed projects we did over the summer. They're giving us a balance of just over $289,000. We keep in reserve some funds in case something happens that unplanned for the South School portables. The reserve for fields is a project that we talked about last year where PSNH had planned to come in as a gift or a donation to the school district to perform about $200,000 of work. They've been held up at other projects. We have contacted them, and they're about ready to come on campus for the next 4 or 5 months. So we are holding those funds in reserve. When they come on board, we would expend those to help with some of the electrical needs down at the fields. And that gives us a subtotal, if you will, of $234,000. And then with the anticipation of appropriation of $400,000, as we've done the last few years, we list out what projects we'd be looking for funding for the FY08 budget process. And then we go on to what we think would be 09, 10, 11, 12.
Couple of questions, Peter. Very nice job on this. It gives us an idea of where our expenditures are going to be, and it gives the community an idea what the expenditures are going to be. One of the questions I had called you up about, I do not see the high school boilers on here, and we had spoken about that.
The high school boilers?
Yes. Peter, Chuck had spoke about the replacement of the high school boilers. They're going to be over 20 years old in 08 or 09.
Yeah, we had talked about possibly a need to replace the boilers at the high school. And as part of the research into the auditorium committee, looking at the capacities, did some testing over the past couple of weeks on the boilers by the original manufacturer, their representatives. And the boilers are gas-fired. They have been carefully maintained and cleaned every year. And the expectation is that they're probably good for another 10 to 20 years.
Okay. That answers that question. Can I continue?
And then, go ahead.
Second question is, I see that we have the resurfacing of the track here this year. Isn't that like a 5 or 6 year project? Every 5 or 6 years we do that, or even closer than that?
That's correct.
Should that not show up somewhere around 12 or 13 as one of the projects on the list?
There are some new products that are available, and some of them have a longer life than that. In the past, we've gone 5 or 6 years in between resurfacings, but if we take it right down and rebuild it with a better product, it could go as long as 10 years.
But right now, you're not planning to do that, or are you? I guess as I'm looking forward, if that is in your plan 7 or 10 years from now, you can put it down. If you put a new track in next year, you can wipe it out. But let's...
Well, for the FY08, the resurfacing would be to take it down and
Right.
resurface And if we were to get 8, 9, 10 years, then it wouldn't show up in this projection.
Okay. So what we're saying is the 30,000 will take us out that long.
Hopefully.
Well,
We're planning to.
Can't have it both ways, guys.
That's it.
If you're, in my mind, if you don't think it's gonna make it there, then it should be in the plan, and if you do think it make it, I'll accept that it's not in the plan. But we should be looking at it from the perspective of what are we looking at, so there's a number in there, not that the track all of a sudden pops up that, oops, we've gotta do it. It shouldn't be a surprise that we have something in this plan. We
but
should-
I think we have some flexibility towards the end. And again, this is looking out 6 or 7 years. We have some large ticket roofing projects, which could be divided up into sections. The roofs of a lot of the schools have expansion joints on them, so it makes it's a good place to divide up a large area into small areas doing roofing projects. So as we get out there and we look to reprioritize what's needed, it may happen that we may have to bump some roofing to do some other projects.
Okay. The conversion of gas on Matthew Thornton, because the gas, is that because of the gas, the oil tanks?
Yes, right now, as it stands, and it's called the final ruling, but they keep pushing it off a little bit. Right now, it looks like in 2012, all steel underground petroleum oil storage tanks will have to be removed. And Matthew Thornton is, even though it's a double wall, it is a steel tank. The cost to replace it is probably in the right now is probably in the $150,000 range. So it would appear that when we get to that point, we'd be better off doing the conversion and bringing in the natural gas than putting another oil tank in the ground.
Is there any other tanks in the district that
We
we should
have-
consider?
We have oil tanks at South School and the middle school, and we replaced them in '98 with double wall fiberglass tanks.
Okay.
Those are safe for quite a while.
The only question I have on the change over to natural gas, and again, this is out of ways, is that we should do an economic evaluation on the cost of gas, which is probably more expensive than oil right now, the way it sits and the way it's been for past years.
I think probably when we get to within a year or two, we'll see where we're at. And if it is cheaper, or if the payback is there to spend the money, replace the oil tank, then I'd probably recommend that's the way we go instead.
Okay. You speak about replacing the Phase 1 windows at the high school.
Yes.
Are there any other windows in the district that we should be looking at replacing?
Yes.
Should that not be on here, or is that going to be in another budget?
That's in, we're looking at replacing windows at the middle school and Matthew Thornton School.
Yep.
In FY '08 as part of the district-wide construction budget. It's a smaller amount. We're also looking right now, there's rebate money available for certain types of windows from PSNH and from Keyspan. So meeting with the reps from some of the companies, hoping to get some samples that we can install and see how it works out, so we know which way we're going next summer.
Okay. The other question, maybe not part of this, is it's been about 6 or 7 years since we did a lighting project in there to change out the ballasts. And, you know, as we went through North School, it seems to be getting old. Is there something we should be looking at that now, that maybe more advancements in energy efficient lighting or more lighting as we go there, that we should be considering as part of this plan?
The next step in energy efficient lighting is what's called a T5 fixture. It's very expensive, and the payback is, without rebate money, the payback could be as much as 8 years.
Okay.
So there's not really a push to go to that type of product.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions for Chuck? The only issue on the oil and gas, and I know it's probably not fair, but at least with the oil, we feel like we can go out for a competitive bid. And we do go out for a competitive bid every year, whereas with the gas, you've got one supplier.
Right.
So I suppose I should be just as concerned about the electric company, but it just seems,
No, you're right.
it's nice that we can go out for bids
Right.
but $150,000 for, how many gallons is that?
It'd be about a 10 to 12,000 gallon tank.
And that's because I thought they were 20 or 30,000 for an above-ground tank. Is that because it's in-ground?
There are a lot more rules that kick in with the underground tanks. They have to be double-walled, there has to be monitoring devices, has to be a supporting structure around them.
All right. Thanks, Chuck.
Okay, cool. Chuck, Peter, thank you very much. Gail, you're up next.
The Academy of Finance program is in its, let's see, we started it in 2000. One of 4 member schools that initiated Academy of Finance programs based on the National Academy Foundation. At that point, we came in under a School to Work grant as a member school. In 2006, the National Academy initiated a new membership agreement that more clearly defines what the objectives are of the Academy of the National Program and how member schools participate in that and what the standards are. There's a fee for that. There is an agreement that they have sent to us to sign. It requires a resolution by the board to adopt that agreement. And so I'm before you tonight to just outline just a little bit about what that agreement entails. I gave you a summary of what is included. The agreement is multiple pages, but in essence, what it says is here's what the national program will do and provide, and here's what the school districts or member programs will agree to. In terms of the standards that the National Academy outlines as objectives or performance standards, basically what they're saying is that Academy programs should seek to meet these performance objectives. And the first one is that the Academy graduation rate exceed the overall high school graduate by at least 5%, and our students meet that by 100%. In every category, we are at or above their standards. The second criteria is that 80% of eligible students be placed in paid internships. We are at 100% of eligible students in paid internships. 50% of Academy internships should be secured by the advisory board. 100% of our internships are secured by our advisory board. 50% of Academy activities should be funded by that board. 100% of our activities are funded by our advisory board. And I would like to explain that when I'm talking about the advisory board, that as Londonderry High School, we are part of a member of 7 other high schools in our region, and we participate with those other high schools as an Academy program. We have a common advisory board that advises all of those schools. So it's a unique and wonderful partnership, and in every category we have exceeded the NAF's expectations as a member school. What they say they'll do is provide professional development, technical assistance, curriculum support. They provide several conferences. They support our teacher and staff attendance at those by paying airfare and lodging to those events. And what they ask for in support for the board is that the school district will agree to support those programs by allowing people to attend those professional development events and send people to the conferences and participate at that national level. And we agree that we'll report out to them and so forth. That's the agreement, and what they're looking for is a resolution by the board saying that you accept the terms of that agreement.
Questions from the board?
Question, as I look at, in the back here in the Appendix A, they speak about The Academy of Finance program and the hospitality is 4-year programs.
The hospitality, that's a separate academy program. We don't have that program.
Okay, and the question I have is the Academy of Finance. I had thought we started in the junior year. That the,
Well, we do. Most of the coursework that students take is junior and senior year.
yes,
They actually apply to the academy at the end of their sophomore year, but students may take the coursework prior to junior year and have it count toward their academy courses. For example, one of the courses that the academy requires is business computer applications. We like to see students taking that their sophomore year if possible, so that they're prepared afterwards.
I guess where I'm going is, or the question is, should we be showing this as almost like a sophomore type of program that you enter in the end of the freshman? So, I see also the other one, Introduction to Financial Services, is another course in your sophomore year.
That's Introduction to Financial Services is a NAF program. We don't offer that per se. We have an Introduction to Business course that many students take as an exploratory course in lieu of the Introduction to Financial Services. It's a little broader. They touch on financial services in that class, and freshmen and sophomores do take that class, and we actually recruit from the Intro to Business class for the academy.
Okay.
What we found was if we ask students to commit to the academy program, and it is a commitment on the part of the student at too early an age, that they lose some flexibility. So the way we have it now is they can start early, but we don't make them, or we don't ask them to commit to the full academy course program until the end of their sophomore year, and that gives everybody a little bit more flexibility.
And if the children don't have the courses that they're recommending here for freshman or sophomore, they can take it in their junior year?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We've realized that it doesn't always fit the way you like it to fit.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of flexibility within that. We're finding, however, that students are taking some of those courses earlier. Quite a few students have taken accounting, for example, which is a necessary class, and they take it as sophomores.
I guess the other question I have is they speak about the hospitality and tourism program. Would that be something that we can look at? Because not so much maybe as part of this, but part of our vocational program, because I think that's an interesting field for people to be looking at as an area to go into. So if it works into the academy program, that would be fantastic. If it works into our vocational program, that would be great too. I don't know how we can do it, but I think that should be another career pathway. Thank you.
The cost to the, Dan had a question, but before, the cost to the district, to this foundation?
The membership agreement is $1,000.
Dan?
Gail, how many students do we currently have in the academy?
We have 27 juniors and 11 seniors who are on track to complete all of the requirements of the academy.
You say we recruit out of some of the intro to business classes.
Yes,
Do we have a number of slots that we're limited to in the academy?
no,
So we can, it's almost like any of our curriculum offerings, as
They're open
many as
to-
apply, then we address that
But the
situation.
student, in order to be a member of the academy, the student basically agrees to take a
Right.
cohort of classes over their sophomore, junior, and senior year, and they also commit to completing a 150-hour internship. And completing all of that work by the end of senior year allows them to be, or makes them eligible for a National Certificate of Financial Studies. Students who simply take the coursework and don't do the internship get recognized as a concentrator from Londonderry High School.
Thank you.
A motion to support the relationship between the school district and the National Academy Foundation?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we support the relationship between Londonderry School District and the National Academy Foundation.
Second.
First by Ron and second by Dan. No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 5-0. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Nate?
Yes, sir. The next item up is auditorium committee presentation discussion. In our last board meeting, the auditorium committee presented to the board a report and some recommendations regarding what we would build, what it would consist of, what the costs were regarding the auditorium study committee. The board, at that point in time, thanked the committee for their work and wanted to have this hiatus between the two meetings to think about it. And so we've put it back on the agenda for the board to take action that they would deem appropriate regarding the auditorium study committee, what further actions the board would like to take regarding this. And therefore, it's on the table for the board.
Questions, comment from the board? George?
Yeah, I mean, we've got several of the committee members here, so I mean, any questions that the board may have, and then at the end, I'll throw in where I think we may want to go with this. So I'll defer to my colleagues here.
Did you have something, Ron?
I had a couple of ideas also where we should go with this all on the committee. So I guess the first thing would be is make a motion to accept the report. So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Ron to accept the report and a second from George. And I'll have to say, I ran into some people at the polls today, and they appreciated my comment, and I'll say it one more time. If you like the movie, you'll love the book. And that is this document, which is available at the website. So anyone in the community that would like to grab and download that, please do so. All in favor of supporting the report?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. All right, next steps. Gentlemen of the committee?
What I was wondering is, I would like the committee to go back and look at the timeline we have in the CIP and come up with, based on their report, is what we should be doing over the next several years. This is something we don't have, is the luxury of time here. And say, there's certain items we're talking about. What should we be doing this year? What should we be doing next year? Talking to people, how do we do the fundraisers? Who would we hire? When would we hire them to do some of the stuff? All those type of items, when we have it with the CIP date at the end being the fixed date, and try to move it in, since that's part of the CIP plan right now. And I'd like to see the committee put together a timeline that says this is what we should be doing at different phases to give us an idea of where to go.
Just a question on that, Ron, just procedural. What is the status of that committee?
The status of the committee is really at the board's pleasure. The committee fulfilled its function and its charge, I thought, very well, too, in presenting a set of recommendations to the board. The board does have, if the committee members would so accept, the right to say, we'd like to extend this committee to do A, B, or C, whatever the board's desire is. And we'd ask the committee members if they would want to continue to serve in that capacity. So in essence, it would be updating, revising, amending, adding on a charge to the committee for specific things that the board would be looking for. So whether it's Ron's recommendation or recommendation George may have, or somebody else, that would in a sense become an additional charge for the committee, and the committee members, obviously, we'd ask the committee members whether they want to serve, and if so, in what capacity on it, and move ahead.
George?
Yeah, and I agree with Ron that one of the things that we want to, I think we should charge the superintendent to do is find some folks to look at that timeline to see where we're going to be. And I think the other part of it is, I think we want to solicit individuals again, hopefully some of the folks that were on the funding subcommittee, to start delving deeper into those options and really start taking a look at some of the funding options outside of taxpayer support, to start looking at those things. We've got some basic ideas. There are going to be some discussions that will need to take place, such as, I believe that Larry Casey had eloquently put before us things like how far are we willing to go in sponsorship issues, how much public, or rather private support are we willing to look at, and at what cost. So those are directions I think that that group is going to need from this board and from the community, frankly. I don't think it precludes them from beginning to delve deeper into that. And Larry, I see you sitting there, so if you've got, if I'm misleading this, let me know. I think that's the two most logical places for us to go next. I think a timeline and really start looking at the funding, and set a time limit of whatever, 6 months, 8 months, whatever out we think that needs to be. And then, periodic updates from that committee, the same as they had been earlier. But I think those are the two areas that are critical at this point in order for us to even bring something before voters at some point in the future.
I had something, Ron, did you have anything else you wanted to touch on before I go?
No, go ahead.
George, can you remind me, is this information being distributed in some way or publicized in some way at this time? Besides the presentation at our meeting, is there anything going on?
Information's on the website.
It's on the web, the report's on the website.
The report's on the website. I believe the presentation's on the website, that we can run that. As Steve stated earlier, that, that information is out there.
And
It's premature to go presenting recommendations to the public at this point. I think the next step is to look at funding and timeline, like I said. I mean, the information is certainly out there for people. I know I've seen it more times than I care to on Leo 21. I mean, it seems to run, that presentation, which is great because people flipping through, and it only takes a couple of minutes. That it's out there. So, yeah, I think the information is out there. I know that right after our original meeting, the papers has had some information in it, and I know that I'd gotten a few calls here and there, but, I mean, I don't know what other specifics, like I said, I think it's premature to be holding town meetings on all this and having open, discussions until we have more information for people, such as where's the money going to come from? Which I think is going to be a big one.
Can I just finish? So the original committee that was set up had a specific charge, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So does it make sense, as we're culling together the next direction we want them to take, that we carve out a specific charge or a charge that sets out the charter of this group or this reformed group as we go forward? So they have some specific marching orders, so to speak, to go forward? Does that make sense?
We can amend the charter to include asking the committee to look at funding and a timeline for the project, and we can make a motion if you'd like. I'd make that motion.
Before we do that, I did want to go to Dan.
Or is Paul finished?
I guess so.
Yeah. I guess I agree with most everything said here this evening, because looking back on some of the projects that we did in kindergarten, high school renovations, and North School, and now potentially South School, time has a way of creeping up on you pretty quickly, even though it's a few years out. So I think it makes some sense to me, from George and Ron's participation on the committee and suggestions this evening, that the charge kind of just is a continuance of the existing committee. Whether the participants want to continue or we want to add new participants as we go makes some sense too. But I would certainly stay with the financial component of it, and also the design, even though we have what I would call a fairly good preliminary design, or as was presented to us, there may be some revisions relative to that. But I know it's work to sell any project within the community, and the more it's spoken to, albeit I agree with George's comments that we don't go out and do full-fledged presentations now, but certainly keep it out there, keep the community involved to some degree through presentations periodically from the committee to the board would keep us, keep somewhat, and we'd update the websites periodically, maybe throw something in the correspondence that we send out. But I don't see writing a big charge to this and reinventing the wheel. I think we already got the framework and groundwork laid out pretty well, and that's where I am on this. I just say continuance of the existing, the way it was done. I thought the committee did a great job in their 3 or 4 subcommittees, so to speak, and build on that. But time does have a way of creeping up on you pretty fast.
So what I'm hearing from the board is that we're looking to do a verbal charge of this committee to continue to meet, that they would take a look at a timeline, they would look at funding, including third-party funding. Members of the committee that are, those that are on the committee, we know that Ron and George are on the committee. The members in the committee in this room, could you raise your hands? And the members that would not be interested in continuing on the committee, lower your hands. Good job, Chuck. I think he's the only one that followed instructions. Hopefully the cameras weren't showing everyone. All right.
I was going to concur with what was said here, that I think a slight amendment to the charge, with the committee then coming back with what the board has asked at this point, which was a timeline and further investigation of funding options. And the timeline, I think, would address the issues that Paul had raised, so that within the concept of the timeline, and I'm just making this up, in January of 2009, report presented to the school board, recommendation regarding A, B, and C. June of 2009, report presented to the school board, et cetera, et cetera. So, in a sense, and I'm assuming most of the members on the committee would look to continue along in the development of the timeline and the fleshing out of the financial stuff. The timeline itself will then, in a sense, dictate what the further charge of the committee is. So, by charging the committee with development of a timeline and fleshing out some of the financial stuff, in effect, that would be the ongoing, once accepted by the board, becomes, in a sense, the charge of the committee, because within what you've talked about are some policy issues, too. And as Larry had pointed out in his section of the presentation, if you're going to talk about naming rights, or you're going to talk about pouring rights, for lack of a better term, or what guidelines would we look at as far as accepting corporate money, if you want to do it, those become board policy issues and policy decisions. So part of what the committee would do would be, I would think, say, here are the pros and cons, if you're going to looking at, or if you want to have look to accept corporate donations or whatever, here are some recommendations regarding guidelines for acceptance of those dollars. Those would be some of the issues that we would have to look at. The committee might be making recommendations, but it becomes a policy issue for the board. So, I mean, something that, let's say the committee came in and said, we would like to call this the PSNH PSNH Auditorium, Londonderry High School Auditorium, and giving PSNH naming rights, they would give us $10,000 a year. The board might say, getting the $10,000 is nice, but I'm not so sure. We want to have private corporations have their name on the front of our auditorium. That, in a sense, becomes a policy issue. So you may decide not to take that money because of what you would perceive to be something that would be inappropriate for the school district. They might want neon lights, which I know might not. And if it's PSNH, maybe we get a discount on the electricity too. But you can't tell. So those would be those kinds of issues. And from my perspective, I mean, this was one of the best committees that I've worked on. I mean, people were great, and I would sincerely hope that all, if not most, would continue to continue along this line. I mean, they were great. All I had to do was point, and they just did stuff. It was great. So, it's cool.
George,
Morning.
please come up.
Marty Bovee, 3 Tinkham Lane. Listening to all this here, I think what's all being said is great, and I'd like to compliment, first of all, this is, what they did was outstanding. As a matter of fact, the town council had we were kiddingly talking about how we could tap into that resource and use that whole committee for something else that we need. But anyway, I think what you need to do, and this is just a suggestion, is basically task this group, if they want to do it again, with a product. And I think that product is an implementation plan of what they've presented. All the things you were saying, Nate, but basically coming up with, if we're going to go forward with this, how do we do it? When do we do it? I mean, when do we start even considering presenting it to the town? When do you think, theoretically, when would you break ground? When would you do the architectural drawings? All those things, which are all just plans. They're not going to be set in stone, but at least it gives people a continuing look at saying, we're going forward, we're looking at the whole thing. Things will change as we have our meetings and so forth, but this group done such an excellent job in this year. I'm sure that they would be able, especially the way that you've worked with the subcommittees, taking different tasks and bringing them together like this here. I'm sure that they could come up with a suggested implementation plan with options for you to consider. And I'm just suggesting that you task them with a specific report or a specific product that you're looking for, so they know what the charge really is, what you want from them. The complete thing, I think. Even if they don't have the answers, they could at least, plan it out to some degree, so you'll have a valid look at what possibly could happen. So, just a suggestion.
I think that, I want the press to be very careful, because I've chosen these words. I think what I've heard the board say is it doesn't make any sense to waste any time creating, pulling together a new charge. That this document is a great framework to continue to build upon. And that, to Paul's point and the other board members' point, and now Marty's point, the group of people, this committee, would gather together and they would create a timeline and look at funding, including third-party funding, and that's the direction that, that's all the direction that we would need at this point. Unless everybody wants to have a meeting to plan how to plan, so.
I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I mean, here's the document, a timeline, which is an implementation plan, is what we're talking about here. Speaking with several architects, how long is it going to take to come up with the preliminary drawings? Maybe this is not a year before, maybe it's 2 years before. Have that all laid out for us is, I think, the correct thing. We're speaking about going out to an individual to do the fundraising for pouring rights and stuff like that. When would we have to look at that? Who would we talk to? I believe all those things would be laid out in this plan, and that would give us a timeline to see when we're going to present this to the voters of Londonderry to get their approval or get their opinion on this, approval or non-approval of it. But at least we'll have a comprehensive plan over the period of time. Would you like a motion to, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to amend the charter of the Auditorium Study Committee to include development of a timeline going to a potential implementation in accordance with the CIP plan, and including third-party funding and methods of obtaining such funding and options available to us.
Second.
First by Ron, second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Thank you. And thank you to those committee members that are present, even if you didn't keep your hands up. You're still on the committee. And
Mark,
yeah.
beautiful.
Mark?
you're looking for the results on the voting for today, you're on the wrong channel. Mark.
We could guess.
Thank you, Steve. With successful programs already in place at our elementary, middle, and high school levels during the summer months, we've got, as you all know, with your support, we have a successful elementary summer program that focuses on reading and math skills, a lift program at the middle school going into high school, a successful summer high school program. A number of those pieces are now in place and have been running very well over the last several years. This is kind of the next step, if you will, and it's part of our district strategic plan. And I believe at the board level it has been discussed about bringing on board an offering of enrichments during the summer. And what you have before you is an enrichment pilot to begin next summer at elementary, middle, and high school. We've had discussions at the 3 levels about offering summer enrichments. Basically, we're looking at a window that would run around the concurrent program. So at the elementary level, it would run during the time of the elementary summer programming. Same way with at middle and at high school, so we don't have programs running outside of those parameters. Basically, we're looking at a self-supporting, this would be a self-supporting program. The revenue from the fees of the program would make the program self-supporting. Some of the examples of these programs could be great books, writers camp, art kind of programs, biotech, perhaps at the high school level, a variety of enrichments. How I would envision it running would be that there would be teachers would be submitting proposals at each level to administration in order, kind of like our enrichment clusters at our elementary schools, that there is a weeding process, so to speak, that the best proposals come forward. So that's what we're looking at there. In the packet that you got, basically the program would be open to all students, basically exposing them to new areas of interest. In this proposal, there is basically some money as starter funds, so to speak. I did designate it at the elementary level in the elementary budgets. However, depending on where those interests lie, I might have one teacher at the middle, one at the high school, 2 at the elementary, that we could have some starter money to get it going this summer. But I would envision in the long run that this program would be self-supporting and that the board and the school district would not designate funds to support it. I'll leave it at this juncture right now and open it up to questions that you might have.
Questions from the board?
Paul?
Mark, we did throw this around somewhat at the last curriculum meeting. One thing I'm kind of curious on, do you have a handle on to what extent there's already summer enrichment programs being offered, and what that might tell us about the likelihood of this,
Well, I know Sue has the computer programs in the summer. We do have the accelerated math program, which is at our middle school level, which in essence is enrichment, although it is accelerated. I would envision that probably where it would be most popular would be at the elementary level as far as enrichment opportunities. I'm thinking the younger elementary kids, this would be quite popular with parents and students, whereas as you get higher in the grades with other commitments, summer camp and jobs, that it might not be as popular.
And we used to, I remember, Matthew Thornton, we used to have some kind of a invention summer program where kids would build things. Is that still going on at Matthew Thornton, for instance?
Yes, it's district-wide. We just held
Okay.
it there.
And this sounds something of that ilk, or similar to that, things to enrich the experience,
Exactly.
build on skills and all. So, I'm just wondering, Mark, do you see yourself looking for further direction from here, or do you think you'll get more information from staff and principals and teachers on ideas on what to...
Actually, Paul, it's a good question. I believe that at all three levels, in fact, there have already been teachers that have approached administration at all three levels on, ideas that they might have in mind to offer to students in the summer. So I believe that there are teachers that would be willing to step up to the plate. They have some great ideas. I think just, in the last year, since we've introduced the enrichment clusters at the elementary schools, teachers and students have really come up with some wonderful opportunities, and I think that those can certainly carry over into a summer kind of setting.
So the last thing then, assuming the board is happy to pursue this, take this next step, would you see yourself coming back in X months and saying, here's what we'd like to offer?
We can certainly do that, similar to what we've done with the enrichment clusters. In fact, we're planning on bringing the enrichment cluster, what we'll be offering at the December board meeting for you to, see those offerings that will be taking place in the elementary schools. So we would certainly do the same with this program as well. We certainly can.
Okay.
Dan?
Mark, I think it's yet another great idea and part of our strategic plan, but there is no limitation on capabilities of the students to want to participate in this program, is there?
There is not. We wanted to open it up to all students, give them an opportunity to,
Much like
explore
we
a
do
new
with the
interest.
elementary program.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
So we'd have to see the success of it based on the number that participate. So I think it's a worthwhile endeavor to pursue, and it's a voluntary program. So, it's yet another offering that we present that you have to take advantage of. We're not going to twist it.
Exactly.
I just wanted to ensure that it's not based on capability. So
It's not based on capability.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Mark, the total time available to students at 2 3/4 hours?
I
would be the-
kind of was giving you kind of an example. I was kind of envisioning an elementary program running maybe 2 3/4 hours, maybe in the morning time, to coincide with the elementary summer program. However, a middle and high school program could look different. You might have maybe 2 days a week over a couple of weeks or several weeks during the summer. It would depend on maybe the level and what that enrichment may be. So, but I just kind of gave you kind of a snapshot of what it might look like.
The point I'm making is a 2 to 3 hour educational opportunity during the summer for these students. It's not a full day program.
It wouldn't be necessary. It could be depending on, if it's a high school level program, it could maybe go over a morning and in an afternoon session. I would really have to see what that proposal would look like.
Give you an example. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, we wound up doing an oceanography enrichment program, and it could be 2 days a week, and because we're going to the ocean to do a field trip, that may be a full day, or it could be several days, depending on what the program is. So I think With this, there's flexibility depending on what is in fact being offered, and some programs may be more amenable to 1 full day a week, or 2 full days a week, or whatever. So I think there's that element of flexibility depending on what the program is, and what the number of students are. So, you look at it, which is slightly different than the way we have to work with our other summer programs. So there's a bit of flexibility here.
Just to add, Steve, I think too, we also, I think we want to be cognizant of also keeping, the costs reasonable to parents. So that also comes into play that, while we want to balance, we want to have a break even on these programs, we do have to look at that as well.
Yeah, the core of my question comes from a questionnaire I remember that we sent home to the parents, and there were some parents that weren't happy that there wasn't a full day of opportunity available. They were looking for more of a caretaking opportunity. That's why I called it an educational opportunity. Ron?
At the middle school and high school level, one of the things I'd like you to consider, we talk about enrichment and we go into the academic areas. Especially at the high school, many of our students carry a full load, and there's courses that they might want to take that may be an enrichment to them in, I'm going to use the word industrial arts area, where you can get into something like that. That might be some areas that students don't have an opportunity during the regular year to do, but they might have, boy, that would be neat, working in a CAD program or doing something like that, but their program doesn't allow them to do it. Just something to consider as you're looking at it.
Absolutely.
Oh, God, I'll sign up for that one.
Plumbing.
You bet.
No, that's when Jason comes in next
Paying
time.
Kyle, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anybody else need work done at their house? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I want to thank Mark and the administration. They spent a lot of time putting this together, and I thought this was pretty good.
Good job.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we support the enrichment pilot for the summer program as presented by the Assistant Superintendent.
Second.
First by Ron, second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Board members have in their packet requests of overnight field trip requests for 5 overnights. One revolves around a wrestling tournament in beautiful downtown Aurora, Ohio. Girls basketball tournament in Wilmington, Delaware. French 3, 4, and AP immersion trip to Canada. Varsity softball tournament in Orlando, Florida. And the Orchestra Choir Jazz Ensemble Festival of Music in Williamsburg, Virginia. A number of the trips do not involve any lost time at school. Several involve 1, and 1 involves 2 school days. The administration recommends approval of all the field trips and tournaments.
It appears you have people here that have an interest.
Yes, they're here in case the board has any questions. Andy would be happy to field the questions on music, and Kobe and 2 of our coaches are in the back too, and they'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have regarding the athletic stuff.
Questions from the board? Ron?
As I was looking at this, I had spoken to Peter about it. The concern I have is not on the trip, but on the girls' basketball tournament traveling by van. That kind of concerns me.
Yeah, we looked at the cost for a coach, it'd be close to $4,100.
Okay, we're
Just ask.
traveling the middle of, we're taking a van, is it our van?
No, we're taking,
Same with the
we're
rest.
renting Suburbans. They're renting,
Oh, they're going to drive.
they're renting Suburbans, I believe,
Okay.
or that type of a vehicle.
Again, in the middle of winter, in the middle of Christmas driving, that's just not sitting well with me with coaches and parents driving on that. That's just a gut feeling that I'm seeing here. That's the only one that's driving themselves, according to this list. I don't know how the administration feels on that liability to the district. That's my concern, is the travel on that one. Okay, I guess I'm by myself.
Other questions from the board? Dan?
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to support the recommendations for the overnight field trip request.
Second.
I have a first from Dan and second from Paul. The point that I made, I asked the superintendent specifically how many days away from school each of these events would be, and he indicated in, I think in no case it was more than one. There was one case where it was 2 days, and the rest were 1 or no days away.
That's correct.
Although I appreciate the educational experience that occurs on these trips, I also appreciate immensely that we're not pulling the students out of school for long periods of time for these. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. All right, well, it looks like, dare I say, either Sharon didn't win,
Or she's celebrating.
or she's moved on to celebrate. I apologize for not being able to give you the results from the polls. You may check the other channels and see what they have to say. They might be up.
Well, they could be counting write-in ballots as
Right.
well.
Or they could, rumor has it, be counting right-in ballots, and I understand they're not pleased at all about that. But
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into non-public under RSA 91A3, Section 2, A through F.
Second that.
First by Ron, second by Dan. All in favor? I, Steve Young.
Email it to us.
Yes, indeed.
Ron, they're driving to Aurora, too.
No, they're not.
Oh, they changed that.
And if you're in this room, you're on the air. Please,
They're driving to
thank you.
Aurora? Coach, okay, I don't have a problem with a coach.
No, but they're driving.
All I'm saying is I'd rather have a professional driver than some parents in a van, a 15-passenger van.